Welcome to the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community Podcast. I'm your host, Patrice Gay, and I am here with the champ, the Africa 2020 champion, Nina.
Wow.
Congratulations. How are you?
Thank you. I am well. I am still absorbing everything that happened, but I am over the moon, over the moon,
I love it. And,
over the
and so I'm here with the champion's coach. I mean, the coach of the year.
Yes.
So today, our topic today is really a discussion around the 2020 Regional Africa Champion. We're going to talk of what does it mean for her now. What does it look like for preparing for the international competition? By the way, tomorrow I'm going to have in studio the 2020 international competition winner, Yamil
Wow.
from Mexico. So he'll be
Okay.
here. So make sure you watch tomorrow because you're going to hear from the one who won last year as
Good.
as to what it looks like to win this year. Wow. So
Wow. Wow.
so let me just ask you, how does it feel, Nina?
It feels fantastic. I am still recovering in terms of energy and getting back into the flow of normal life because this had taken over everything for quite a while. So I'm kind of still, trying to get into, there's so much love, there's so many messages, there's so many people calling me, and it's a bit like, but in my heart, I am just my cup is overflowing. That's all I can say. My cup is overflowing.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
You won both the judges' vote as well as the people's vote. 90%. I mean, you would assume that Kenyans voted for you, but more than just Kenyans, it was 90%. How did you feel about that?
That, that was really good. I was just trying to keep a straight face as I was watching the chat because the amount of, rallying up that was going on there, and I had my whole Mirema school family on there. I was so impressed. The turnout from my side was fantastic, and I just felt so supported. So
And
supported.
your sister Lorna, she was just rallying the chat, man. She was
Lorna is like a powerhouse, like those little energizer bunnies, like nonstop.
yeah.
That's Lorna. She's full of energy and she would not stop. And she was with me the whole time and she was rallying. I was like, wow, wow, that's just Lorna for you.
Incredible. Frank,
Yeah.
the coach of the year, the one who brought the Africa champion. So, Frank, how do you feel, man?
The word of God says that the horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord.
Mm.
And so with Nina, we probably did a lot of work, and she did most of it. But the victory comes from God. So it's exciting to be on this side of victory. But when you realize it actually belongs to the Lord, then we give it to Him in thanksgiving that this is only possible by grace. I can tell you, Patrice, when Nina finished, the conversation we had was, it doesn't matter whether we win or not, we've executed as per the plan, as per the strategy. We prepared well and we've executed and we are satisfied, regardless of the results.
Look at
And
that.
so for me, I have praise for Nina, like from here to Timbuktu, as they say, because in all sincerity, the work ethic was amazing. So, but I am delighted. I'm also delighted by the Nehemiah model to make this happen, to remove laziness from our model of doing
Amen.
business as Christians. So personally, I'm overjoyed. I can't say enough. So let me just give this back to you because I can just take over the rest of the evening, and we want to hear from the camp.
Yes, that is awesome. First of all, Nina, I'm so proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
of course, we do want to commend the Congolese contender as well as Madagascar contender. They gave a good fight at it. It was all of you guys were incredibly amazing. Great. If you missed it, man, you want to go back and look at the Facebook videos because this was just powerful. We're here with the Africa 2020 champion for the business plan competition, Nina, and her coach, Frank, from Kenya. So Kenya won the Africa competition this year. Last year, I think Madagascar won the Africa competition. So Nina won the People's Choice, so she got $500 for that. And then, of course, all of them get $1,000 each for winning their countries. That will all be at Nehemiah Week supporting, and then Nina will get to compete for the first prize, which is $5,000. Nina, when you look at your life journey, what does it compare? What does this experience compare to? Have you had an experience that you can compare to in your life journey so far?
I can. Actually, we were having the conversation after this event, and I was comparing this to a talk I had to give many years ago when I was working for a company in the UK, and I had to go to Spain and do a talk about psoriasis. And it was like a pharmaceutical company event, and I prepped, but it was mostly content that I knew. But so I went to this event. I didn't know anybody there, and I had to stand up and do this speech. I was a lot younger than I am now and less experienced in giving speeches, and it went really well. We got quite a lot of interest in the program. There was a standing ovation at the end of it. And I was representing like a team of nurses that I was leading at the time. So that's the only thing I can say that sort of comes close, because all the other wins in my life, or the other wilderness, converting to wins, have been so long and dragging on. Sometimes you don't even notice it's a win until years later. But that's the only thing I can compare it to. But the amount of work it took to get ready for this competition is nothing. I mean, I can't compare the previous experience with this. This was intense. It was so technical. I had to go and learn figures and understand financial reports. And I mean, I still have a lot to learn, marketing strategy and conversations with Frank. It was not easy. It was not easy at all.
And your presentation was excellent. I mean, I saw you present at the Kenya competition. You took it a notch up. This was a notch up. I mean, you started out you opened with a story, and then you flowed your family thing to it. I mean, that was almost a perfect presentation. So talk to us a bit about, we want to kind of get into the mind of a champion a little bit. So that day for you, how was it like? And as you were prepared to deliver, how was that experience like for you?
So the actual day, like the day before, or
the day of the competition, how was that day for you? And as you were prepared to come, what was going through your mind and your heart?
So I must say this time around, for the first competition, it was intense because I was preparing at the last minute. I hardly got any sleep that night. I was still working on my slides. Everything was very last minute, which is unfortunately something I have become known for. Then that's a narrative I'm trying to change for myself. So this time around, Frank said, no more of that, Nina. There is no more doing things last minute. So we started a lot earlier. And what I really liked, and I think what made everything different, was we had to send all the work through the slides, the presentation in advance. So I had to do all that before. So the pressure was actually at the highest around Wednesday, with the competition coming on Saturday. So that then meant, once you've got your slides out, then you're just practicing the delivery and making sure you can answer the questions really well. So it felt less pressured at the end, but overall it was obviously tougher than the local Kenyan competition.
So, by the way, Ben said, God bless the works of your hands, Nina. Again, you have questions or comments to send out, please do, as we talk with Nina, the Africa champion. So Nina, once you finished your presentation, how do you feel? Once you finish the delivery at the competition?
I just felt relief. I felt relief because I nearly lost it on time. I just felt relief, like it's done, And one thing that I must say is when I listened to Yoshua's presentation, I got very worried. I'm like, this guy has it. I mean, like,
Yeah,
wow.
he was good. He was good.
He was good. He was good. And then when I did my presentation and then Angie did hers, I'm like, she could just win this based on just her heart. You could see her heart and her love
Yeah.
of God in that presentation.
Yeah.
It was so personal. You know, we even had her date of birth. I'm like, I should have put my date of birth in there. And so it was very, when I finished the presentation, I felt I'd given it all I could and I was just ready for things to go anyway. But I didn't actually feel at that point like I had it. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
At which point did you feel so then you hear the announcement. And when you
Yeah.
heard the announcement, how did that at that very moment, what went through your mind?
First of all, I wasn't sure. So I knew I would probably get the audience choice because of the numbers of people. I could see my family, Mirama School. I could just see, you know, yeah, there's a good chance at least I'll get something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when they announced the winner overall, I was like, you know, like it's almost like thank you. You know, it was a feeling of like ticking a box. I don't know whether I can express it well enough. It's like a feeling of okay, that's done. That was a lot of work, and it has been blessed, and we move on to the next thing. That's how I felt like yes,
No, that's a
yes.
champion. She's looking at the next thing. No, not rest, not relaxing. What's the next thing? I love it. She's a conqueror. So, and there was a lot of excitement that I heard from. So, what was that day for you like?
So, okay, after the announcement, of course, then I have my family here. Lorna was here throughout. She was sat right next to me, and she's like, "Can they see me? Can they see me on the screen?" I'm like, "No, you're good. Stay there." So I had the team here, very well supported. The celebration was good, you know, but it was like we'd worked so hard, we couldn't actually celebrate fully. So it was like, yes, now we've done this, and I think the celebration is going to trickle in a little bit more. Sunday we had more of a chill day, more time to reflect and think about it. But it was like it wasn't our mom always says to us that don't ever assume that because you worked hard, that's the reason you won. And she told us this since we were little. Don't think that because you've worked so hard, that's why you get what you get. You know, you deserve what you get because you've worked hard. She's like, there are people working harder than you out there and they don't get what you get. So she always has reminded us that we shouldn't just take it for granted because we worked hard, we should get it. So the hand of God was obviously in it, like Frank said. And that's clear.
Zamana says, "Yeah, Nina, good job." So she's commending you. Now,
thank you.
So Nina, how did your parents feel about this win?
So those were the first two calls I made after because they had never seen the presentation. I got a lot of calls, of course, from people congratulating me, but those are the two calls I actively made myself. I called Dad. He had tried to call me after the presentation, but I was still on. So I called him and he was happy. My dad is a typical African man, so emotions are hard to get out of him. Huh? So we've learned to pick up on the cues. He wouldn't always just be, you know, he wouldn't be as out there as you'd expect. But I knew he was proud, and I kept asking him, "How do you feel?" You know, and he was happy. He's like, "You've put us on the map." So he was really pleased with that. I spoke to mom after that, and she'd called all her friends, and she'd struggled to get on because she's out of town, but she'd called all her friends, and she's like, "Nina, you guys have taken it to the next level." That's what she said.
Wow.
You've taken it to the next level.
So with that, what does this win mean to the school? What's the implication here, and what does it mean to the school and to your team?
Yeah. So first of all, let me say what it means for me. That last Bible verse that we put on about honoring our parents, that is what I felt like I felt I'd been part of. And you see, I was the one at the fore talking, but we did this with Lorna. So I felt a sense of we've honored all the work they put in. So that felt really, really good. I also wanted to honor Frank for all the work he's done for me. By the way, it was important that he felt like I represented him well. And then for the school, basically there was a lot of energy where we've been struggling. The space of education in Kenya is not a very easy space right now, but it gave a sense of energy, like we can do this, guys. We are where the action is, and so I can see like there was a bit of energy that was injected, especially into the leaders, because they were paying the most attention.
Wow. Katrina says, God has sent you humblest Madame Nina, and his finger will take you far. And then Kevin says, congratulations. So you got some fans out there. Again, if you have comments or questions for Nina, please show that. We're talking to Nina, the winner. She just won the Africa regional competition. She won against Congo and against Madagascar. So Nina, so let's talk about, you raised a good point. This is a tough time now for schools in Kenya, particularly private schools, with coronavirus and government policies. So do you feel like this can somehow serve as an encouragement to those other schools, to your peers, as to here is this year's regional winner is a school?
I think so. I haven't really had deep conversations with anybody yet, but I've got a couple of sessions booked up with, a few people call me and they're like, can we have a coffee? And usually what that means is there's some value they have seen and they want to exchange thoughts. But I know for a fact that it will make a difference, especially from the reaction that I got on the WhatsApp groups where we have different school owners. There was a lot of support, because we're in a space of bad news. It's what feels like bad news, one thing after the other. There's now security issues for property on schools, and it was important to have a win. It was important to have something positive happen that shows that there's life beyond this season. So I know there was encouragement there.
Oh, wow. And Irene says, glory be to God, congratulations. And so that's Kevin. So Nina, let's talk a bit about what this means for Kenya. And I want to hear your thoughts here as well, Frank. What does it mean for Kenya? Kenya this year representing Africa at the international competition. And Frank, I want you to also talk about what it means for your program. But first, Nina, what does it mean for Kenya that Kenya will be the international representation this year?
I think is it moves Kenya into the space we should have been a while ago. I think Kenya has been like a flower that's waiting to open, because Kenya has so many opportunities. After living abroad for a long time, you realize Kenya is full of opportunities. Kenyans are well educated, we have good exposure, we've got fairly stable politics, we don't have wars and situations like that. So I feel Kenya there's been a spirit of delay for us as Kenya in terms of getting out there into the international space and actually changing the image of Africa out there. So interestingly, my daughter said to me after the competition, she said, Mom, make sure when you go to the international competition, you make sure that you up your game and you represent Kenya in a way that shows that I'm trying to say it in a more professional way. So we were talking about some questions she gets online where people are like, so how come you're texting from Kenya? You have Wi-Fi there? And, or the question of, do you see animals walking around as you're doing your day-to-day? And she said, make sure you represent Kenya positively. Everybody outside Africa, not everybody, but many people have the wrong impression of Africa. And that's important for me now to represent Kenya positively, and not just Kenya, but Africa. So for us to be the ones doing that, it's a great honor, but I think we're ready. We've been ready for a long time. We just haven't sat in the chair properly.
I love it. We are ready. We've been ready for a long time. Spoken like a champion. What an ambassador. I mean, our team is putting together a press release that we're going to send to you guys, to Frank, to put Nina's name on it, so that way she can truly communicate to the media. What an ambassador. I mean, an ambassador for Kenya. Frank, let's talk about what the implication of this for your program and for Kenya, from your perspective, even for Africa. So, Frank, what are your thoughts? What is the implication of this for your program for Kenya?
Let me say by saying the implication for Nina to us. Just a place for women, Patrice, in leading the charge against poverty, corruption, just not good business practice. Just look at how we're able to nurture this type of talent and put it in the pedestal that succeed. And you know what they say, that you empower the woman, you empower the community, and they're able to actually move the entire nation or community forward. And for me, this is the story of the African story. One of the places we're going to get victory from is going to be from this type of symbol of these powerful women who are ready to take on the reins and lead Africa out of poverty, especially. And just the commitment, the willingness to put in the effort. And so just the implication for that has been amazing. And Nina, I celebrate you just for I've never found, Patrice, never found a willingness to look back in Nina. Just never found. She's like, okay, let's go. And before I talk about Kenya, the comment we said, we celebrate this win, but there's one problem. We've got to go back to work.
Yeah.
And because now the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
Now, if that was good, then what we need to compete. And I can tell you, Yamil's presentation last year was something. I was glad I was not in the last year competition. And so we've got to bring the A game now. And that's the implication for Africa now. This 10 years, I believe, Patrice, are huge for Africa. Huge for Africa, 2020 to 2030. And this century, one of the things we are being called upon is to rise up and be counted, showing excellence, showing work ethic. The story of lazy Africa is over. The story for an Africa that is not high standards being shown, that's over. We want to put the true story of Africa. And when you look at the history of Africa, you don't find kingdoms that were weak, that did not know how to trade. You find absolute excellence was part of our DNA. That's why we were running Egypt. And that's the story I believe we have to get back to. And that's the implication. That's why when we're going to the international competition, we are not going as underdogs. We are going as the people whose season is ripe. And that's what I hope this is. And what's the implication for Kenya? What about having a CEO who's running a business, almost $2 million, willing to go through a process like this, doing so well, succeeding? It means that we are providing the right kind of program for what is needed in this market, not just on the education mountain, but in the other mountains that God is calling us to serve. And so for me, Nina represents, the impact for us, Patrice, is hopefully that, and she is already, as in I can tell you the number of needs assessments that I have, people booking appointments to talk to us. They are just like, Patrice, what we have to deal with in the next 3 weeks. We're already preparing for Nehemiah week. We don't want more work, but guess what Nina did for us? Ooh, the work just went like that. So the implication for someone to deliver such a flawless presentation like that is good. It's good business for us. And so, but I think that there are bigger things here at stake. I was thinking about the implication of the education mountain being highlighted here. I think that that's huge, Patrice, because that's the one place we've got to win for Africa. And I think you said it when we were talking to Nina last time, that we may not have, as Africa, the clout or the know-how, or like being born in royalty. But when you get education, it gives you the chance to go to the top. And that's what this represents as well, that education is going to be such a huge pillar in Africa. You know, someone said something to me that shook me. I was talking to a guy I met in Washington, Patrice, and he said something very interesting. He says, Africa is being projected to be 2.5 billion people. And he asked me a question, who's going to educate those people?
Wow.
And I had goosebumps. I was like, Mirema School. We have schools around us right now. I said a big percentage of our student population is schools. I said, God help us, that we will be ready for the 2.5 billion Africans that are coming, that we will have models. So for Mirema School to believe to have a model for East Africa, Nina, guess what? It's too small.
We have to go
We've
bigger.
got to believe for the whole of Africa.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Look, you had to win. Your coach is a champion. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
the roar of Africa. This is incredible. Now,
Yeah.
now with that, so Judith said, congratulations, Nina. May God continue to lift you even higher to service and do business as kingdom. And
Amen.
Irene says, rise up and be counted. I like that. And Zamina says, the education gives the chance to people to go to the top. Now, you won the People's Choice. So the pot goes higher at the international competition. The People's Choice winner gets $1,000.
Okay.
And that, of course, also because 15% of that goes to Frank's office. Not a lot of money. At least to give him some coffee and some pockets.
Change. It's change, Patrice. Change.
But so Nina, so you won the People's Choice, and you felt confident in the People's Choice, in part because you had the people there.
Mhm.
So what are you gonna do now? You compete now with Mexico. You're competing with Penang, you know, that got a lot of people there. You're competing against North America. And when it comes to just technology, these regions of the world have, you know, more people with technology access. So
Yeah.
what's your strategy to make sure that you at least have a chance for the People's Choice?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. My strategy.
Let me try and tell Patrice some stuff. Let me help you, Nina. Patrice, by the grace of God, give us a chance. You will be amazed about what's on store. This is a different Africa, Patrice. We are competing head to head with any other competitor.
Wow.
And we bless God for them. And we say, bless the Lord for what he's doing in other places. But we've got technology just as much access. Technology is, we are not less disadvantaged on tech. We just have cables under the sea, just like anyone else. Yeah. We have access to the same BE program. We carry the grace of God and the Spirit of God like everybody else. The question is, what don't we have, Patrice, to compete?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. You heard it here, guys. You heard it here. So what I'm hearing you say is that she's going for both the trophy and the People's Choice as well. She thinks she can get a shot at both of them.
Patrice, none of the people you mentioned above have 1 billion people.
Yes.
We have 1 billion Africans, Patrice.
Well,
Malaysia is a country. We are representing a region, Patrice.
I love it.
Anyway, Nina has something to say.
Nina, go ahead.
So, Patrice, now you get a sense of the push that I have behind me.
I see. I see.
I stutter for 1 minute and Frank is going. So I have to keep up with that. Imagine that. So I actually haven't really thought about the strategy for the People's Choice. What I've thought more about is, you know, what is it that I will bring this time? Because initially, there's a part of you that thinks, oh, maybe I'll bring like some things to the regional competition so that I can save something for the international. But we brought everything. We pulled, there was nothing that we could do that we didn't do for this competition. But of course, now we have to up that. And so that is more what I've been thinking about. What would be different, looking at the audience, looking at the other competitors. But Frank is always very quick to remind me that, okay, yes, it's a competition, but ultimately, what is it that God wants out of this whole experience? And I have to keep myself in that space because I'm very competitive. I didn't realize just how competitive. And then between me and Lorna, we are very competitive. So
Very.
so we have to, I have to keep myself in the space of, okay, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? This is a platform that gives you some level of responsibility, because if I have this platform and I don't say something that needs to be said, then I'll have wasted the opportunity. So that's more the way I'm looking at it. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to put out there?
Wow. That is awesome. And you kind of got into some of what I'm about to ask you, which is, what are you going to do different now with the international that you didn't do with the regional? And it sounds like you saying, I brought everything I had. So now you're going back to the drawing board and say, okay, what else can we figure out here? Which is good. So you're going from great to great in a sense.
Absolutely. We're bringing our A game. We are bringing our A game.
Oh, I love it. So, Nina, think about when you made a decision to go back to Kenya for a minute. And it was in a season of wilderness for you, not a pretty time. You weren't exactly you were going back under a sense of defeat, right?
Yes.
There's no greater defeat in life like a divorce at the end of the day. Because that breaks you both emotionally, but there's a spiritual breakage, because you feel like even if they did everything wrong, you did everything right, you still carry some level of burden, right? Because of the word of God as Christians. So you're going back home to your family, and you're going, and there's a sense of loss. Now, several months or years later, you're here. Talk to us a bit about that moment when you were going back to Kenya and where you are now, and what that means to you now as you think about when you made the decision with uncertainty to go back and where you are now.
Wow, you always have a trick question there, Patrice. It's always a tough question. Okay, so that wilderness experience was tough. When I got married, of course, I had no intention of getting divorced, and I threw everything that I could into the marriage. So even getting to the point where I was thinking about, okay, this is not going to work, there is something, and what you said is exactly right. Like that, it's like admitting defeat. I'm admitting defeat, and now I have to go back home with my tail between my legs. That's how it feels. That's what it feels like in your head. And then along with that, there is like what I usually call it a trap. The trap of those who maybe come from Africa and have gone to live in the Western world. There's a trap there, and I've seen so many people fall in that trap, because the expectation for you when you live abroad is that you will have lots of money, and if you come home, you will come back, all hail the conquering champion, with property and vehicles, and there's a lot of expectation that is put on you. And that expectation actually causes a lot of people to go off into the wrong direction, and look for how to find money in fraudulent ways, because there is so much expectation that when you come home, you will not struggle, you'll have lots, etc. Of course, looking back on it now, I think I did quite well living abroad. But when I was coming home, I came home with, okay, I packed all my stuff into a container, and came home with my daughter. But it didn't feel like a win. It felt like a defeat. It felt like I couldn't make it work, so let me come home. And then, of course, in that as well is that feeling of, if I come back to work in my parents' business, it almost feels like it's like a pity job. You've been given that job because you're your parents' child, not so much because you deserve it. And there's a part, every second generation I've spoken to often will experience it, where you feel like, shouldn't I just be doing my own thing? So when I came back, I went for job interviews. I was really looking around, and I got a couple of interviews, and I started a small healthcare business, which I then struggled to juggle between Mirama School and the business. And I realized, look, I need to focus on one thing if I'm going to make it work. And I chose Mirama School consciously because I realized if I didn't do that, then there was a gap that only I could fill. And it's not forever, but it's a gap that has a timeline, and only I can fill that right now. So that's where BE identity and purpose came in, because once I resolved that, I just, put this other business on ice, focused on Mirama School, and then I didn't have that struggle. But now with what is happening and the business, the numbers of students going up, income coming steadily, one of the things that we said to our parents is they shouldn't feel the impact of COVID-19 as the founders of the business, because they've sacrificed so much. And being able to do that in this space is a personal win. It's part of that honoring your parents sort of space. And so what I'm saying is it's a whole transition. And when I look back, if I had not made the decision to come back home, I would it would have been a massive mistake. But even, I'm talking a lot now because I have so much to say about it. But even the way that I came back, and, I didn't have money saved up at the time, but I got some jobs closer to the end. And the amount I made from those jobs was exactly what I needed to move back to Kenya and ship all my stuff back home, showed me that the hand of God was in the whole thing. Though there was no struggle. It was, when I think about it, it was as easy as a move from one country to the other could be.
Wow, that's incredible. Cherie, one of the judges, says, Nina, we so loved hearing your business plan. Are so excited about what you are doing in the school. That's incredible. And Zamina says, already thinking about extending the army school all around Africa. You got cheerleaders there.
Wow.
I mean, that is incredible. Mm-hmm. So, Frank made a point, which had to do with we're not coming in as underdogs. So he wants us to see Africa as a firm contender. No mercy prize here. Right? No mercy prize.
No.
Let's talk about that. Let's forward look. You winning the international competition. Let's say that Saturday in August 15th. Because the difference here is that you're going to hear the people's choice is going to be the same day.
Yes.
But the judge's choice, the winner, will be announced on Saturday, the day after.
Okay.
So it is Saturday afternoon in Portland, or late morning Portland, afternoon in the US. I mean, in Washington D.C., East Coast, evening in Kenya. Mm-hmm. You hear your name announced as the winner. What is the implication for Mirama School, for Kenya, and for Africa? You go, and then Frank, or let Frank go first, and then I'll watch you put the thoughts together.
So Patrice, it feels like what's that saying, Nina? Doing like counting your eggs before they hatch.
Yes, exactly.
This is a big one, Patrice. I'd like to be there, honestly, but for me, it's sometimes it's not so much the win. I love to win. But it's the work behind what we do. Is the horse is prepared for battle, is to do that work, Patrice, regardless of results. And let me use my own story. I did that with Grace 2 years ago, and we did well. And I left everything on that pulpit that day we were presenting. You were there, Patrice. I didn't leave anything out of it. Everything that Frank could give, he gave. And when the results came out, I was second for a business that is still parked right now. And God used that as a platform for me to end up doing NPIM in Kenya. And so sometimes you want some results, you want to pray for them, but I like to focus on what system am I putting in place to produce that result. I can talk about the work we are willing to put in, but if God was to give us that, if God was to give us that victory, if Nina was to win in this one, my remarks will not change. That it's time for Africa. That it will be a great statement to Africa to say, hey guys, it's our time. Let's wake up, let's arise, and let's pull this continent together. And you're the one, Patrice, who likes to make this, or who has made this statement, that out of because only 10%, you said, 10% of the world is poor. The rest of 90% is outside the poor, and 90% of that 10% is in Africa.
Yeah.
The reason I believe God has raised us for a season like this is to change that narrative. I have my vision board in front of me, Patrice, and there's this thing written, the end of poverty.
Wow. Wow.
For me, that's what this means. It means fighting poverty head on and beginning to see that wall beginning to crumble. And I believe that the tool of entrepreneurship is one of the keys to bringing that wall down. And so that's what it means to go into this. So it tells you probably, Patrice, what we are willing to do in this battle ahead.
I love it. Here's what Cherie says. Good word, Frank. It's about the process. Wow. And Irene said, amen. Nina, what are your thoughts?
So when you asked me that question, I think it felt too big at first. What if you win the competition? I think for me, if I can win with my 14-year-old feeling Africa was well represented in this competition, then that's the win, because it's not just her. She had her friends on. And what we're doing here is we're being role models. We're educating in a different kind of way, where we're saying it is okay. Not that it is okay. This is the standard. Africa can bring this standard, international standards, into the competition. I think that in itself is a win, because it's like the battle of the mind, where we've always felt like the underdogs may be. I'm not sure where that has come from. We were talking about how, again, another conversation with my daughter, where she was giving me the example of ballerinas. When ballerinas need to buy ballet shoes, that the color of the shoes is supposed to be a nude color that matches your skin. And she was sharing with me that for black ballerinas, they have to spray paint their shoes because there is no manufacture of shoes that are the same tone as their skin. And we had that conversation, and we said it is time for Africa to manufacture ballet shoes if that's what we need.
Wow.
And if I can, if you can have those kind of conversations with the next generation, then the narrative for Africa will change. It has to. It's time.
Wow, that's incredible. Irene says that entrepreneurship is the way in Africa, the way in Africa, the way out of poverty. Cherie said, Frank, so excited God is raising you all up to take the ground for Africa. I was just thinking, Frank, as you were sharing about how, had you not obeyed the Lord, Nina would not be here.
Yes.
And the momentum that God is now doing in Kenya would not be happening, because you were willing to put down something to pick up something else. And I know that decision was not easy, because you did it in faith, having no certainty that it would work out. Frank, let's talk about that. So you leave the international competition 2 years ago. You leave Orlando, having won second place. That's not bad. Second place international is not a bad deal. And you go back, and the pressure of having to walk out what you just competed on versus them picking something else. Talk to us a bit about that. And now the outcome you're getting is obviously evidence of God's faithfulness. But at that time, you had no idea which way, whether it was door number one or door number two.
Yeah. And that's the power of BE, Patrice. That's a power of B, because essentially I was running two businesses at some point. I was 100% in the farming business. I was doing thinking about creating a factory and how to look for farmers and to get the product I want. And I was setting up class to teach, and I was feeling this is the area I want to go into. And at some point, I was taking fees that has been paid for class to go and pay workers in the farm. And I think that's what woke me up. Say, hey, wait a minute. What is working?
Wow.
And I say that this is about opportunity cost. And if you look at BE in identifying opportunities, one of the things you ask yourself is, what are you taking from what to take where? And where is your passion? And let me tell you, Patrice, in the middle of the class when I'm teaching class, my heart will like explode inside me in bringing knowledge, in communicating truth on how business should be done. I found something else. I didn't know. I've always been good in training, but I didn't know what putting together Bible and business, what it did to me. So what it did is I had 25 years of ministry behind and 20 years of corporate. And yet there was one thing that somehow brought it together. The excitement of that, Patrice, just... So, of course, so now you're excited. You feel like, yes, I've found this. So this time I'm doing identity and destiny. So yes, I'm finding who Frank is. And guess what? So while in the midst of all that, I have to feed a family. Wow. And bless God, my wife is a homeschooler. So the work she does is amazing. But in the sense of bringing income, that's my responsibility. And I can see that now I'm going into an area I'm not sure which one is going to do what. And so this is at the point I was in this crossroad of giving up one side. And by the way, Patrice, you've got to realize you hadn't given me to be country director.
That's right.
I had nothing. I was a licensee, period. I was nothing. It was faith. It's when I came back to Washington that I became country director.
Wow.
So that process is a dying process where you're trusting God and say, Lord, I believe you're calling me. And so if I'm drowning, I'm drowning, but I'm drowning knowing your voice.
Oh my gosh. I so love it. I mean, because you just gave people framework of how to discover, how to pursue passion, right? Over economics. And that's essentially the same thing that Nina did.
Yeah.
Because she left feeling like a failure, but then as she went down, and then she finally picked passion. And then now look at what's going on. Now, that's oh my God, this is so powerful. But here's what Cherise says. If you could hear me from Seattle, I am amen in my office. So there's an amen corner in Seattle for you, my friend.
Amen. Thank you, Cherise.
If you keep this up, you may just get, and Cherie is a mobilizer, she may just bring folks to the competition just to vote for Nina.
Nina will not disappoint.
Now, we almost wrapping up. I didn't prepare you for this, but some of the folks listening or watching were not at the competition. Could you, in 1 to 2 minutes, we're going to call it a pitch. Just give them a little pitch, a little taste of what they miss or what they may experience if they come to the international competition. I'm putting you a spot here. I know I'm doing it. So,
oh my gosh.
So here's the thing. So some people watching or listening, they may say, I want to invest in that business, or I want to go to that school. I want to send my child there. I want to partner with her. What pitch would you give them that will calls them to say amen. Nina, you have the floor.
Well, what I would say is Mirama School is a school that caters for all the different needs of a 21st century child. So it prepares you to be in the global space. But more important than that is it prepares a child to be competent, kingdom competent, by the time they finish school at Mirama School. And kingdom competence and then global competence, with that combination, your child will be successful. They will bring you honor and not shame.
Wow, there's her pitch, guys. There's her pitch. And Nina, for that investor who's ready to put some money up, they're going to be at Deacon. They're going to be there to hear you make your pitch for the capital. Why should they invest in the school?
Well, they would be investing in a business that is well established. It's not a new business. We have learned, we've had our highs and lows. We've learned a lot of lessons along the way. But more importantly, we have implemented the learnings on the ground, and we are committed to continue to do that. So as an investor, you know you're making a sound investment, but you're not just making an investment for returns. You are going to get a return on kingdom impact, because we are committed to doing that, to giving that.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to Nehemiah Week between August the 10th to August the 15th. Come hear Nina's pitch at the Investors Forum. Come watch her take the trophy for Africa at the international competition. Come learn and grow so that you too can become a champion. Go to nehemiahweek.com, nehemiahweek.com. You know, Frank and Nina, before I got two more questions for you guys before we wrap up here. Again, friends, thank you for participating today. Share your comments or questions for Nina and Frank as wrapping up. Nina, here's what Zachary says. You have set a standard for the kingdom entrepreneur. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So help me sell Nehemiah, guys. So I'm going to start with you, Frank, and then Nina. What would you say to our listeners and viewers as to why they should join us August 10th to the 15th and be a part with us in this digital conference? Frank?
Let me just sell one point, Patrice, and that's Os Hillman. This is one of our keynote speakers, isn't he, Patrice?
Yes.
And by the way, we will be listening to him this weekend here in Kenya. He is going to speak to the Mountain of Education. So we'll tell you maybe more about that. But this is the kind of, among the fewest people who are communicating kingdom marketplace effectiveness right now better than many people around the world. This man has been through such a depth of wilderness and prepared through such high fire for him to be able to sit under the Joseph calling. And that's what he says. He's written a book, several books, 9 to 5 Window, 7 Mountains, and then the Joseph calling. And if there is a voice that God is preparing for this season in terms of giving clarity about kingdom impact and how we can really bring the grace of domination by, redeeming the marketplace, then this guy has that voice or that in technology for doing that. Personally, I want to sit at the feet of this guy and listen to him. When somebody is paid a high price, when somebody is going through such things, then it's proper for us to sit and listen and learn and not have to go through his process to get the fruit that he is getting. By giving him honor and listening to him and learning, then God is able to use his experience to take me where I'm supposed to go faster. And that's what's going to happen in Nehemiah Week.
Wow. I love it. Thanks so much, Frank. Nina, here's what, before you go, Wanji says, Nina, we are so proud of you. And I think also Wanji said something earlier that I want to share because I didn't read it. earlier. Wendy said, "Well done, Nina." Wendy, which is I had to read Wendy's because she's the boss's wife. You know, if we don't take care of her, then we shut the podcast down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nina, I know you've never been to Nehemiah Week, but help me sell it. What do you say to our audience as to why they should come this year?
Well, maybe I can share the reason why I will not miss it. I want to make sure that I am surrounded by other people who are running business successfully using kingdom principles, because there have not been many examples of that until I joined Biblical Entrepreneurship, and I want to assist the shift in my own mindset to actually believe that this is how we're going to change the world. This is how we're going to make a difference, a kingdom impact. So I am not going to miss it because I want to see for myself all these other businesses that are doing a super job.
Wow. Amen to that. Thank you for that. Well, before we wrap up, though, I want you guys to, Nina, Frank, that many listening and watching right now, they also aspire to be champions. You know, they want you both, Frank, you have the fastest growing country in biblical entrepreneurship right now in the world, the most successful center right now. I mean, Nina, your school is amazing. Well, just one, you know, he's the coach of the champion. You are the champion. And people are listening and saying, I want to be like you guys. Whatever you're drinking, I want to drink it. Okay, so I want you to give us some advice now as to what they can do to aspire to what you guys are doing. Richard says, I want to change the world, serving on the marketplace. Your sister, Lorna, the other boss, we got to commend. If we don't say, you know, she said, good job. So, she's on your side. And Peter said, Nina and Frank, so proud of your teamwork, setting very high standards. That is a good point. Oftentimes we talk about how Africans don't work together. Look at these two. I mean, look at just the partnership and how they're working together. By the way, before you give some advice, I do have a question for you, Nina, that I want to ask earlier.
Okay.
You made a statement about your procrastination and last minute, and I wanted you to speak to that because what I appreciate about you, you're not a perfect champion, right? You are. Because you gave us a window into a vulnerability that you have, but yet you won. And because some people may say, wait a minute, she's last minute, and so forth. Why should she be winning, right? Could you speak to that? Because there are people out there in our audience, and they're wondering, they're saying, you know, how did you, Nina, press on in spite of that image that you have? You won in spite of it. What did you do not to give in to that weakness, but yet press on, or to feel like you can't because you've not overcome this yet? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Okay, so I think for me, it would be a couple of things. The first thing is accepting that I'm not perfect. I have always been one of these people that sometimes people can think I have it all together because I can be quite calm under pressure, that kind of thing. And I know my weaknesses, and I know I'm still discovering more weaknesses, but more strengths as well as I get older. And once you acknowledge that, you're able to say, okay, this is who I am. And then what I purpose to do personally is to surround myself with the right people. And I've always been blessed in that area of my life. I've had very good friends throughout my life. I make friends easily, but not just friends, like, you know, getting to know people at a deeper level. So I use that a lot because those are the people who are like pillars for me. They can call me out when I'm not doing something right. They hold me accountable for the things that I'll say that I need to do. When I'm in trouble, they will rally around me. When I need support, they support me. And that combination, and of course, just understanding that there's so many experiences in my life where I have just seen God deliberately move me from here to here. And when I look on it, it's so deliberate. He gave me exactly what I needed to make that move. So I think I've come to trust more in the will of God in my life. So that combination, I think, is what makes all the difference. And I think people just respond to genuineness. If you can be yourself, if you can just be your authentic self, yourself is more than enough.
I love it. Here's what I heard you say. First, recognize your own limitation and vulnerability. Be honest about it. Know what it is. Second, surround yourself with the right people. Right. And
absolutely.
And then reach out for help. And then third, be yourself. Right. Don't be phony or fake. Right. Be yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add one more because I think you did this. Never give up.
Yes.
Never give up. Keep pressing.
Yeah.
Coach Frank, what you want to add anything else? What have you observed in Nina that has made her a champion in spite of her weaknesses? Because many people are watching and listening, they're going to say, but I don't have it all together. I'm not as beautiful as her, right? They're going to say, I've not been to Europe. They're going to say, I didn't come to that kind of family. I don't have the education. I don't have it all together. Frank, any advice here?
The one thing I found that's amazing with Nina is she won't let her friends not enjoy what she is. She'll always go get one of her friends and say, you come, let me show you something, you come, let me show you something. Lorna is in this thing. She has a friend called Pauline. She has another friend called Leah. She has Joseph, Mr. Community. In this, everybody who is important to Nina is coming. In fact, Nina, I have to tell you, I'm waiting for Adam. You see, as in, she doesn't go there alone, Patrice. She wants, who else wants to do this? But obviously, it's the humility. When you have the experience and the exposure and the success that they've had, why would you come into a class and sit and listen when your business has grown? What? That is from about 300 to 1,200. That's 400%. That's humility. And guess what? It is not a surprise for you to hit 5,000 soon.
Wow, we heard it here, guys.
And I think, Patrice, that's one thing I see, that you've got to say, if you see something that's different, and you've been in business long enough as well, but you see gaps that you identify in your own business and life, and you say, I see that I can get help from this thing. My view is jump on it. Don't let what God has provided to be a destiny connector for you to pass you by. BE can be that for you. Be executive program can be what your business needs to go to the next level. Jump onto it and learn and go through that process. It's a difficult process, but guess what? It changes you. Like it's changed me, it's changed Nina. Guess what? It changed Patrice.
Amen.
And I believe that humility can be very helpful in building models that will colonize Africa the right way this time.
Wow, I love it. So the other thing that Frank added is the humility to sit and learn in your past successes. I mean, that is powerful. Well, so Nina, what advice would you want to give the people now? I know you give a lot of advice now. Your closing words. They want to be champions.
Final bit of advice would be find an area that works for you and stick with that. Keep at the same thing over and over and over and learn that skill, hone that skill, focus on that. And over time, the results, God will just work he'll give you the blessings, the favor, and it will pay off in the end. Rather than kind of keeping your eye on too many different things, focus. That's what I would say today.
I love it. Nina, Rochelle says that you are very articulate and believable.
Thank you.
Frank, what advice would you give our people?
First of all, thank you, Nina, for the hard work. Thank you, Nina, for showing a different Africa, the modern, true African woman who knows God and is willing to fight it out. Thank you for being that. I really appreciate that. And that's it, Patrice.
Wow.
Let's be authentic. Let's be Africa. Let's be the Africa that works, the Africa that believes God, the Africa that puts in the work, and the Africa that sees this end of poverty. I want to be that. And I like to have more team players coming into this team, changing the narrative for Africa through the gospel, through entrepreneurship.
Wow. Well, guys, you heard it here first. So, Nina, Frank, I'm going to invite you guys back the week after Nehemiah Week. Okay? Full report. And God willing, I'll be talking to the global champion. But either way, in my book, you guys are champions anyway. So you guys,
I have a quick one.
Yes.
We have we negotiated with Patrice to get a special rate for every Kenyan who is going to register through us. If you'd like to be, I don't know if you can put up the registration link, Kenji, for everyone. But if you decide you want to register, please call our office or write to us, frank@nehemiahproject.org, or call at 0722-464-899. Let me say that, 0722-464-899. And we will get you a 50% rate to the entire week of Nehemiah Week.
Wow.
Yeah, we managed to get Patrice. Patrice says every time I negotiate with him, his accountant calls him. So guys, don't make the accountant comes back before we get some of us into this. So Patrice, does my offer still stand 50% for the Kenyan guys?
Stand, Frank. You already told everybody else. I can't pull it back now.
I'm just getting into it.
That's it. Just tell it on public. Just tell it to the whole world wide and ask me to take it back. Frank, he's a true Kenyan. I tell you that guy. He set me up.
Yes,
well, you all deserve that. This is great. So take advantage of Frank's offer. Frank's always negotiating. He's this guy is Chinese, Jewish, and African. He's all three combined. What's that tribe in Kenya? That's the business tribe. What do you guys call them? The Kikuyu?
Yeah.
I think he's from that tribe.
Yes,
even if he's not, he has blood. He is, I tell you.
That connection.
Lorna says, great rate, I'll be there. So Lorna, you're waiting for the discount. Look at Lorna. She should be paying double. Oh, good to have you guys. So Nina, if they want to contact you,
so if you want more information about Mirema School, our website is www.miremaschool.ac.ke. That's www.miremaschool.ac.ke. And you can also find us on Facebook. Just search for Mirema School. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Nina, wish you all the best. Frank, wish you all the best. We have a date back here in the studio the week after Nehemiah Week. All right. So we can talk about what God did. I love it. Hearing from a champion. Well, friends, if you have, oh my goodness, wait a minute. Is it Grace's birthday? Grace, for those
yes.
Grace is Frank's beloved wife, without whom Frank will not even be here. He'll be a loser. Let me tell you a funny story.
Absolutely.
Funny story. So one of the American presidents was at a gas station. This story is told, and with his wife, and then somebody who was pumping gas, who had gone to school with them, who the wife used to date, and so the president turned to his wife. He said, honey, that's so and so. If you were still dating him, look where you'll be. And the wife turned to him and said, honey, if I was dating him, he'll be president.
Exactly.
So without Grace, Frank will not be the champ he is today. So Grace, happy birthday. I got to make my birthday call today. Grace, Frank, any special, we love affirmation at Nehemiah. So you both have to affirm Grace for her birthday. Let's start with Nina. So Nina, what do you say to Grace on her birthday today?
Grace, you are phenomenal. I have no words actually for what an inspiration you are. I think because of you, Frank is as great as he is, and he often says I'm a bit like you in some ways, which is a high compliment for me. So we love you. We know how much you sacrifice for us to have a bit of Frank as well. So happy birthday to you. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face to shine upon you.
Amen. Frank, what do you say to the First Lady?
So what we said, we sent her a note that says, she's a daughter of the King, a servant of God, a dear wife, a wonderful mother. I've never met a more committed mother, and yes, a great educator and an incredible friend. Happy birthday, my love.
Wow. Well, Grace, happy birthday. And I'll be calling you to wish you to sing you my happy birthday song. Grace, we love you and we so thank God for you. With that said, friends, if you enjoy this podcast, and by the way, shoot Frank. What if everybody who's listening and watching us just go to Grace's Facebook page and just wish her happy birthday? Send her a note, text her, just shower her with love, and just say the E-Community podcast made you do it, right? Just go ahead and just shower her with love, all right? But if you enjoyed this podcast, share it with your friends, share it with your family. This is Africa at its best, all right? So that they might know that there's not only hope for Africa, but Africa's future is now. Because Nina, Frank, and many others of you watching and listening who are in biblical entrepreneurship, who are building kingdom companies, have made a decision that poverty ends today.
Amen.
Frank has declared one poverty here with us. And guess what? We're joining him with that. Oh, Frank, you're such an amazing man. What about Frank for president? What about that?
Yes.
I would vote for you, Frank, if I was Kenyan. Oh my God, this is incredible. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, we want to invite all of you guys to join us in Nehemiah Week this year, August the 10th through the 15th. If you're from Kenya, reach out to Frank's office. They have a special deal for you where you can join us at 50% off. And by the way, if you're an e-community member, you can also apply your e-community membership to that as well. So join us. There's no reason why you should not join us. Let's have a strong, not only Kenyan, but African contingencies so that we can make sure that that our good friend, Rachel said Frank for president. I love it. So that our good friend Nina can win the People's Choice Award, right? Because Frank, if she wins that award, the portion coming to your office, that goes straight to Grace. Okay, you heard it. He asked her birthday present, right, Nina? Right, Nina?
Yes, evidence.
Right.
Yes, I heard it.
You got to take Grace out to the best restaurant in Kenya, right? And because of her birthday, that's her birthday gift from you. That doesn't go. Tell your business partner that it was raised on the podcast. That's pocket change.
Okay.
Right. Have them listen to this podcast until it's irrevocable. Right.
Absolutely.
So Nina, that's pressure on you.
I will work on that. I will work to deliver that.
And here's the good news, because I heard that Grace is an amazing mobilizer. If Grace knows that this winning is her birthday gift, she's going to make sure you win the People's Choice, Nina.
That's very strategic, Patrice. Very strategic.
I'm looking out for you, my friend. I'm looking out for
you. Thank you.
All right. With that in mind, don't leave yet, because I'm going to pray for you. And there's a video I want you to watch before you go. Thank you so much, guys. Okay. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord enable you to steward those talents that He's placed under your care, and to do them in such a way that one day you can hear those wonderful words. Well done. good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. Guess what? He'll not make you rule over much. God bless you. Watch this video. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nehemiah Week is an annual event designed to equip entrepreneurs and leaders from around the world, to inspire and to honor marketplace leaders for their accomplishments and what they're doing to model Christ in the marketplace.
God is doing incredible things at Nehemiah Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, God has called us to be a light for Him, to be an example for Him, to be a model for Him, so that as others see us, not hear us, but see us, they can see a model of Christ.
Yeah, each year at Nehemiah Week, we gather the nations.
Our vision is to transform the marketplace with the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, one entrepreneur at a time.
We have learned to do business in a godly way. I will actually spread this to our church as well.
Through the course of Nehemiah Week includes information around principles of biblical entrepreneurship, so really looking at biblical economics.
What we've learned this week is about training. Nehemiah project is about training and then coaching and then accessing capital.
Nehemiah gave me a godly vision, really impacts the way that I see doing business.
Nehemiah Week not only gives birth to new ideas, it connects us with resources and relationships that makes them possible.
But what we want to do is not just affect here in the U.S. We want to take this curriculum all over the world.
Whatever it is, the question is, what impact will this have on others?
It's something that's going to change lives. So I'm ready to use whatever I have for the benefit of the kingdom of God.
I believe that the nations are going to shake because of this week. Biblical entrepreneurship takes a stand to say we are going to be witnesses for Jesus Christ in the marketplace.